Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The VCT playoffs are almost over in the various regions and the Americas is certainly heating up. We have it again, can you believe it? Loud and NRG, they try and avoid each other for so long and it doesn't matter what happens, they will always seem to find each other again. That's going to be the finals in the Americas, but so many other storylines to dive into. Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Let's dive straight into the Pacific region with dapr coming out on top yesterday against T1. A 3-2 really close fought affair here actually. T1 have been kicking up lately. Looking forward to seeing how they perform come the Masters in Tokyo. Feel bad for Zeta again, I must say, just because, you know, they came so close to beating T1 and now you can see T1 being super competitive against dapr, 13-11, 13-11 the other way. I mean, so many close maps here. And then T1 took this one comfortably before it was a 13-9 on Pearl to close out the series. So crazy stuff. But dapr advanced to the finals where they are currently playing, as a recording, up against Paper X. There's this crazy composition they came up with, as expected, let's be honest here, on Ascent, with the Harbour, Viper, Sky, Raider, Raze composition, which is nothing like at all what dapr are running, so I just thought that was pretty hilarious, to be honest. But as the series stands, we just refreshed to get the latest update. Oh, actually, Paper X took map 3, so dapr won the first couple here on Fracture 13-6 and 16-14 on Ascent, but they just bounced back, wow, 13-3. It was kind of funny because I saw it was 2-0, and I assumed that dapr are going to close out the series, but not the case. They've rebounded, so that is still alive for the victors of the Pacific side. In the European region though, Liquid looked super impressive yesterday. They might be able to put up a fight with Fnatic. It's unlikely, but it's never out of the realms of possibility. Liquid started this regular season pretty slow, I would think, but finally they've come good at the right time. FUT Esports did very well to beat Na'Vi, but I don't really think that was going to continue. 13-5, 17-15, crazy overtime on Lotus, and then 13-5 again. So pretty uncompetitive, all things considered. Liquid looking very solid and strong to maybe take the fight to Fnatic. Yes, they got 2-0'd the other day, but this is probably the best team in the European region right now, apart from Fnatic, of course, who are the best team in the world. So that's going to determine the results of today. And it's actually quite important for these teams to try and win the playoffs because that secures them the best possible seeding come Masters Tokyo and potentially champs as well down the line. For example, between Loud and NRG, the winner will guarantee themselves, you know, the best possible situation through to the playoffs at Tokyo, whereas some of the other teams will have to start from the group stages, which is never ideal, although NRG do have some experience, or OpTic do have experience doing just that. We'll just quickly mention on Nitro here, because there was some talk about him over the last couple of days. Of course, former CSGO player, then he came over to VALORANT to play for 100 Thieves briefly, and he recently announced his next chapter. I think he's got another kid on the way, and he's, well, effectively stepping back from competing competitively in the Counter-Strike side. So, you know, Nitro, great player, I thought, in the Counter-Strike days, and obviously in VALORANT as well, did great things on 100 Thieves. So shame to see him retire, but, you know, that's how these careers go. So just thought I'd mention that because I didn't touch on it just yesterday. This is the other thing I didn't touch on with regard to the new patch. This is the run and gun nerf. So we talked about yesterday the chamber buffs, the Viper nerfs, all this stuff that is probably more glamorous and flashy, but this is actually quite a big deal. There's a change to the error power, i.e. guns will be less accurate while moving, essentially nerfing run and gun. Now, it's always a bit of a debate here in FPS esports whether run and gun should be a viable strategy. I think with SMGs, it probably still will be viable, but you know, sometimes with a Phantom, if you're just kind of running around, and it can still sometimes hit accurate shots, obviously there's a bit of luck involved when that happens, but you know, I think it's understandable that Riot thinks, you know what, let's just calm this run and gun meta down a little bit with certain weapons, so the bullets now have less chance of being where you're aiming them effectively. So it's going to be potentially a quite significant change to how people play the game in that sense. Of course, for most weapons, you've still got to stand still and shoot, but, you know, running and gunning is apparently, they want to try and get rid of it or make it less viable on many of the weapons where that is currently utilized. Let's dive into then the EG versus NRG series. This was their tweet the other day when they 2-0'd EG, and then, of course, EG got their revenge. Demon1 was tweeting, oh, these guys were champions and all this type of stuff, obviously when they won the first round games, but the thing is with NRG, you might dump them out to the losers bracket, but they are never dead, right? And they won that crazy series against Cloud9 to qualify themselves through to Masters Tokyo and to Champions itself. And in the rematch between NRG and Evil Geniuses over a best of 5, they just didn't quite have enough this time around. EG got our revenge. Huge props to them regardless. They, you know, nobody thought they'd make it this far and they did. So nice to see them giving some respect the other way. But RDS, you know, we know how these things go on Twitter, right? It's always easy to talk trash on Twitter when you've just won the series, but nonetheless, it's always good to see. So, you know, Demon1 still on the 23rd of May. when EG got the better of NRG. Wait, these guys were champions, I just destroyed them. And Ardis is like, you know, who do you think you are type thing. So it's kind of a sad thing for Demon 1 just because he won't be able to go to Masters anyway because of the visa situation and all the stuff we discussed the other day. So his team will be there. That's the end of the road for Demon 1 for now until Champions in LA in a couple of months' time. He'll be back, you would think, in that EG starting team. Unless they bring BCJ back and they win the whole thing, I kind of doubt that, you know, he's going to be out of that team when they return from Tokyo. And also there was the coaching drama the other day, right, with Potter and Chet having a bit of a back and forth, with Chet saying at the time after they lost this one that, you know, so this original tweet here from Chet was about maybe scrim us next time, and kind of Potter dropped the question mark, and Chet was like, oh, the reason why you're not scrimming us is because you think that I've been leaking VODs to other teams of the scrims, whereas in fact that's not true. And, you know, Potter said at the time, oh, multiple teams have told us that you're leaking and therefore we're not scrimming you guys because we think you lack competitive integrity and stuff like that. And, you know, Chet says that never needed to cheat once, etc, etc. And of course, after that result, Chet gets his revenge in some sense and says 3-1 versus EG, still should have scrimmed us. Grand finals tomorrow. So yeah, getting the results back, and who knows, right, whether EG will still either hold this grudge against NRG, whether there's any validity to what was said there by Potter the other day in terms of multiple teams accusing them of leaking VODs from scrims and therefore wanting to not play them and not practice against them. So we'll see, but it's interesting always that the tweets that come out after the victory from a certain team, and as Team 1 says, that's where his run ends. So look, great performance from him over the last 2 weeks, absolutely turned around this team, but against a team like NRG that are just too icy, it's not going to be enough generally. And Loud will feel in a similar way. They lost to NRG the other week on the actual regular season, right? The only team they lost to last season. You know, they were dumping out OG, they would try their best, and this year NRG are back in business, right? So pretty funny tweet here from Aspas, it's got to be said. I'll just share what Tarek has to say as well.
Good. NRG find their way back in, nice.
NRG tweet.
Did you say something?
No, I'm looking at NRG's tweet right now. See what they got. Oh, Classico returns. NRG chef, they'll just cooked up your team next L. What the chef tweet?
Yo. Damn, the spam call one, that's
Yeah. They're firing shots. Bit. Nice. NRG Castle. That's cool. Manifesting the bald buff by map too. Oh my god. Everyone's gonna try to get the bald buff. It's over? Yes, it's over. 3-1. 3-1 GG's.
So I guess realistically, EG should have known they had no chance when it was possible that NRG and Loud were going to play each other. I feel like it was almost inevitable that they would. What's very interesting to me about this series on the, well, today on the Championship Sunday is the fact that NRG, or the OpTic core, always generally got the better of them in the international tournaments, apart from the World Championship last year. But Loud always tend to win their domestic tournaments. Like, Loud, I think, have never really lost a domestic final. So it's going to be an interesting battle to see. Like, does NRG or OpTic's, like, historic general international edge over the Loud guys prevail, or does Loud's domestic dominance prevail in this one? And we know these teams love matching up against each other. I think it was only a matter of time until NRG solidified themselves as up there again with Loud, because their team is very similar to last year's OpTic team. Ardis for Yay, Som for Marved. You can talk about what's better, what's worse, but fundamentally they're playing great Valorant right now, and they're back where they should be and where they probably belong. And as Willminder says, it's going to be really interesting because they're playing for a bye straight to the playoffs, not just the championship of the Americas. So who knows who's going to win? I think it must be said that because NRG won the last time they played, you've got to say that they are marginal favourites. But in a best of 5, it's probably a different story, and it's really difficult to call here. I'm hoping for a game 5. I think I might just lean NRG's way, but part of me says that Loud are going to win. I think actually, no, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to say Loud 3-2, but I really don't know how to call this one, to be honest. So yes, NRG got the 3-1 over EG in the end. It was 13-11 game on Haven, and then NRG tweeted out the kind of, oh, let's give Ardis the bold buff, and all of a sudden it worked out, and they played great for the next 2 maps, 13-8, 13-10, 13-4 in the end, with a dominant defensive half on split, which was easily enough to not get it to overtime on split for once and get them over the line. Victor on this map is always an absolute menace, and that repeated once again. So very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.